Guys ready? I will call to order the July 10th meeting of the USD 305 Board of Education. Would you rise and join with me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, and greetings to the huge crowd out there.
Quality.
It's good to have you. There will be, I hope, some people watching on television, and we would welcome their viewing as well. This is our reorganizational meeting, so it's mostly business, business, business. May not be too entertaining, but will maybe depend on Dr. Hardy to liven it up later. What do you think? Maybe not. All right, here we go. We need approval of the agenda, and so are there any additions or corrections to the agenda?
Yes, Madam Vice President, we have an addendum to the personnel report that is at your place. We do not need an executive session for personnel, but in its place, we would like to have an executive session for attorney-client privilege.
All right. Do I hear a motion? Mr. Denning.
Madam Vice President, I move we approve the agenda with the changes mentioned by the superintendent.
There is a motion, a second.
Emma Doherty, seconded.
Emma Doherty. Any discussion? All those in favor, raise your right hand, please. Motion carries. It's 6, isn't it, tonight? 6-0. All right, the next thing on our agenda is reorganization of the board for the 2018-2019 school year, and that involves election of the president and the vice president. President Nedra Elbel is taking a marvelous opportunity to visit in England over the next few days, and so she is not with us tonight. I do know that as I open the nominations for president, that she would like to have her name submitted as one of those. So if you will allow me to do that, I will submit Nedra Elbel's name as president. Are there additional nominations at this time?
Madam
Yes.
President, I move the nomination cease.
There is a motion to have the nomination cease. Is there a second? Mr. Denning seconds. Any discussion? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries 6-0. Next is the election of the board vice president, so nominations are now open for that office. Mr. Denning.
I would nominate Carol Brandert for vice president.
Carol Brandert's name has been submitted. Are there additional nominations?
I would move that we cease nominations.
There is a motion to cease the nominations. Is there a second to that?
Emma Doherty, I
Emma
second.
Doherty seconds that nomination. Any discussion? All right, all those in favor, raise your right hand, and the motion passes 6-0. Thank you very much, folks. We appreciate that.
Carol?
Yes, sir.
I just want to make it clear, the motions were to cease nominations. Does that actually mean that we approved the nominations as
Oh.
well? Is that both?
It
Or do we need to
actually-
make that more clear?
I would prefer you make an actual motion.
All right, we will make an actual motion in that regard, and thank you for that.
Madam
Yes,
President.
Do we-
For
we can do
president
that
and vice
together,
Go
I
ahead.
think.
I move we elect our president and vice president by acclamation.
Very good.
All right, is there a second to that motion?
Emma
There's a
Doherty, I
second, Emma Doherty. All those in favor, raise your right hand. All right. We'll assume there was no discussion on that since we went through that the last time.
Thank you.
Trust that's the case. Thank you very much. All right, we now have a rather lengthy list of consent agenda items. So we will turn to those and go through that. The first on that particular list is to appoint as Board of Education Clerk Deborah Howard, to appoint as Board of Education Treasurer Lisa Peters, to approve annual resolutions as follows: to establish regular meetings, to waive the annual requirements for generally accepted accounting principles and fixed asset accounting, to rescind policy statements found in the minutes, to adopt 1,116 school hours, and to establish home rule. Also, to establish as 2018-2019 official depositories the Bank of Tesket, Bank 6, Bennington State Bank, Capital Federal, Central National Bank, Exchange Bank, First Bank Kansas, Rose Hill Bank, Solomon State Bank, Sunflower Bank, and UMB Bank. To establish as the 2018-2019 official newspaper the Salina Journal. To declare annual appointments as follows: the school attendance officers, building principals, district coordinator for ADA bloodborne pathogens, Title VI EEOC, Title VII Civil Rights Act of 1964, Title IX Gender Equity, Aaron Wright, Executive Director of Human Resources. As district coordinator for Section 504, Aaron Wright, Executive Director of Human Resources. As hearing officer, Robert German, attorney at law. As custodian of district records, Deborah Howard, board clerk. Custodian of building records, building principals. And custodian of student records, Aaron Wright, Executive Director of Human Resources. Food service authorized representative, Lane Norris, Director of Food and Nutrition Services. Food service hearing officer, Lisa Peters, Executive Director of Business. Food service determining officials, building principals, and Lane Norris. Head Start authorized representative, Dr. James Hardy, superintendent. As CAPERS designated agents, Aaron Wright, Executive Director of HR, and Steve Dortzweiler, Manager of Human Resources. As KERMP authorized representative, Lisa Peters, Executive Director of Business. As custodian of activity funds and gate receipts, the secondary principals, Title I Director, Lynn Exline, Executive Director of School Improvement. Freedom of Information Officer, Jennifer Bradford Vernon, Director of Public Information. Homeless Coordinator, Shanna Rector, Executive Director of Administrative and Student Support Services. Asbestos Program Manager, Chris Upson, Executive Director of Operations. And as Transportation Supervisor, Chris Upson, Executive Director of Operations. Also, to approve minutes of the June 26, 2018 regular meeting. To approve the personnel report with the addition. To approve financial reports, which include the end-of-year bills from June 21st, 2018 to June 30th, 2018, and the end-of-year bond bills list from June 21st, 2018 to June 30th, 2018. The bond budget summary, the June journal entries, to approve the June 30th, 2018 unencumbered cash balances, to approve the following encumbrance listings: to Alexander Open Systems for the renewal of Cisco switches, firewalls, and endpoints in the amount of $107,757.45. To KCAV in the amount of $28,469 for equipment installation to the multimedia projects at South High and the athletics corridor at Central High. To Johnson Controls for the annual service agreement for maintenance and repairs of the access control system in the amount of $27,800. Also, to approve the Smoky Hill Education Service Center contract for the 2018-2019 school year at St. Francis Academy. To approve the CKCIE contract with Presence Learning for the 2018-2019 school year for a minimum of 350 students at an estimated cost of $500,000. To approve the 2018-2019 mileage allowance established at the federal mileage reimbursement rate, currently at 54.5 cents per mile. To improve the 2018-2019 petty cash funds for Central High, South High, Kennedy Early Learning Center, and the district office at $1,500 per fund. To approve the 2018-2019 copy fees for the copy of records at 10 cents per copy. To approve the liquidation of excess school equipment and supplies, and to approve the 2018-2019 facility use fees with no recommended changes for the 2017 2018 year. Are there any of those which the board would like held for discussion? If not, is there a motion?
Madam Vice President, I move that we approve the consent agenda items as listed.
Mr. Fletcher moves. Is there a second?
I second.
Ms. Zimmerman seconds that motion. Is there any discussion? Yes, sir.
I would just like to say, from past experience, it sounds like we're not using accounting principles and we're not accounting accurately, but schools don't use general accepted accounting principles, and if there's people watching, it's not that we're not going to accurately account for things, and it's not that you can't get a good idea by looking at our website or by the state website, it just sounds like you're waiving accurate accounting, but I know Lisa does a great job and all those people, and we do a very good job of that. It's just that we follow a different accounting principle.
That's a very important point for the public to know, so thank you for that addition. We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? If not, all those in favor, raise your right hand. The motion is approved 6-0. All right, moving on. To the public forum, is there anyone wishing to speak to the board at this time? Seeing no one, we will move to the action agenda. We have a single item on the action agenda, and I will give that to Dr. Hardy, who wishes to set a special meeting for a budget work session.
Yes, Madam Vice President and Board of Education, we're requesting that you set a special meeting for a budget work session. That's an annual event that we have. The date that we're proposed is Tuesday, July 31st, 2018 at 5 p.m. here at the board office.
Will that be in this room?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Is there a motion to that effect? Ms. Zimmerman?
Vice President, I move that we approve setting a special meeting on Tuesday, July 31st, 2018, beginning at 5 o'clock p.m. as presented.
And there is a second from Mrs. Doherty.
Emma Doherty, seconded.
All right. So with the motion and second on the floor, is there any discussion? If there is not, all those in favor, please raise your right hand, and the motion carries 6-0. There is nothing on the discussion agenda, and we will move then to an announcement of school board committee reports, upcoming dates of importance. We'll start with those. It's hard to believe, but within a month, school begins again. So the district-wide staff meeting is announced for Central High School at 7:30 in the morning. We do look forward to that as a way to really start off the school year well. Tuesday, August 14th, the first day of school, and a very special occasion on Monday, August 27th, as we look forward to the South High ribbon cutting and open house at 5:30 p.m. Are there any reports from the board? We'll begin with Mr. Fletcher, if he has something.
The biggest activity that I have to report is I was an observer in the negotiations, and those have closed, and we're ready to move forward with the teachers. Very pleased with how that process worked.
Very good. And then we'll come down to Mrs. Doherty.
No report.
No report.
No report.
Ditto.
Right. This has been a bit of a quiet time, except for the superintendent, who definitely has a report.
I have a few items, Madam Vice President. I would like to note that I have invited our legislators and our State Board of Education member to once again come to our opening ceremonies at Central High that morning. They really appreciated being here last time to see what we do, and especially Representative Johnson. He asked me if we were going to do it again this year, invite him, so that was encouraging. Just a few things for your information and entertainment. First of all, I'd like to really compliment the Teachers Bargaining Group and the Board of Education Bargaining Group for negotiations. You know, it was very collegial, it was very conversational, it was really a collaborative effort. I felt like we worked together, and probably we're at that place now. We're going to be a role model for other districts on how it can be done. So that's really a compliment to everyone on doing it right. I believe that's what I would say. There's a lot of upcoming dates, and I sent some things out last Friday to the Board of Education so you would know what they are. It's really a compliment to the board that you want to attend these events. There's some districts where you have to work real hard to get any board members to attend, And it's encouraging that we have a board that is all in on your position, your heavy responsibility that you have. And so to attend these type of events is good for you, and I think in the long run, it's good for the district. So thank you for that. Congressman Marshall came to visit us. He wanted to know about the lunch program that we had. And so we set up a nice little visit for him for Cottonwood, and Lane Norris got to spend some quality time with him. I thought that was really valuable. You know, sometimes they just come in and out really quick and you don't have time. They probably had a good 20, 25 minutes just sitting there together. And so she can answer his questions, and she can share, you know, the challenges of running a food service program in a school district, especially with all the federal regulations and laws. That is an incredible challenge on her part and her department's part. So he was a good listener, and we followed up with some emails back and forth, and he was real quick on that. So hopefully we've developed a good relationship, and he'll remember us. So if we need something, we can call upon him, and he can do the same. So that relationship is really important. I also had a visit by our governor, one of our governor candidates, Greg Orman. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that name. He's independent. He's from the Kansas City area. I think he ran for state senator. Was that right?
Yes.
One time, and he actually made a good run at it, if I remember correctly. He's self-funded for a lot of his campaign, which is very interesting. But one thing that he did his homework about USD 305. He wanted to talk about pathways and CTE. And he had very pointed questions about that for us. I thought that was also good that he had taken the time to know that we were very good at this. And it was nice to be able to share, you know, with our bond project and the things we've done with our high schools and the things that we're adding that, you know, we're a good place to come and find out things that are good things going on in education. So I appreciated that. Like you said, Madam Vice President, it's hard to believe that we're in July, quickly heading towards the school year. This Friday, online enrollment opens up. That's how quick we are getting there. I also I want to do a shout out and a thank you to the Salina United Way. I don't know if you're aware of it, but they do a book program in the summer at our summer lunch program. They pick a different school and they go around. So today I went to Schilling just to observe lunch because it's great entertainment. They had a big crowd, which was really nice to see that we're using, you know, they're using the option that they have there. But the United Way was there with book carts, and those students, they look forward to it. It was very amazing. As soon as they finished eating, it's kind of like recess. You know how you have to make kids slow down and eat before they go out for recess. It was the same way with the books. They had to come in, and some of them, you know, just wanted to snarf down their lunch so they can go get a book. So it's just really well done, and I'm appreciative of the United Way for providing that service for our students. The students actually get the book to keep, to take with them. So what a nice service that they do for that. And then the last thing, I just want to lift this up, and I keep bringing this up, but it's interesting the traction that it has in our state. We know one of the challenges that Kansas has is that Kansas has actually lost population over the last few years. Not great amount, but we've lost some population. At the same time, economically, Kansas would like to grow. You know, we have our businesses here in town and our manufacturing that would like to grow. And so it seems like about every other week or once a month, there's some symposium or forum that has to do with workforce. And so there's a regional, actually the state event is going to be here next Monday that's being sponsored by the Governor's Council. And we've been invited to attend, and I've invited some of our folks to attend with me. And it's an interesting group of people that are going to be there. The Kansas Chamber has been invited, the KU School of Economics, the Governor's Council, and one or two other organizations. Also, a lot of our business leaders and manufacturer leaders have been invited. So it'll be very interesting, but everything just keeps coming back to workforce and the, I guess you would say, responsibility that we have, because we're tied, the Kansas economy is tied to us really in a lot of ways. We're the supply side for labor and talent for Kansas. So it's nice that we're in the conversation, but it's also a responsibility. So, Madam Vice President, that's all I have.
I had two things, one out of something that you said. Just wondering about the book program and whether or not United Way accepts donated books, or whether those are purchased through funds that the United Way has? Do you know how they obtain the books that they give to these youngsters?
I'm not sure, actually.
Okay. Maybe we can find that out. And I think my other question was in relation, since you mentioned jobs, job fair. Do you have anything to say about the job fair?
I'd like to defer to Erin Wright, who did a wonderful job, and her team setting it up,
Yes.
that they had good success. So Erin, would you like to address that?
Well, we just have preliminary numbers right now. We held the event last Saturday, well, I guess it was last Saturday, but 2 Saturdays ago, the 30th. And we had close to, I think, around 110 people come in that day. We hired approximately 37 people on the spot that day. So we consider it to be a pretty big success for us, getting a jump start for the new year.
Very good. We're pleased to hear those results. All right. Anything else? If not, we will move to executive session. And I believe it was mentioned that we need attorney-client, and will 5 minutes be sufficient? Mr. Denning?
I move the Board of Education go into executive session at 5:25 for 5 minutes for the purpose of consultation with board legal counsel on matters which are privileged in the attorney-client relationship, which if discussed in open session would waive that privilege, and that the Board of Education reconvene into open session at 5:30 in the board conference room.
Is there a second? Mr. Fletcher seconds. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries 6-0. We are recessed to executive session.